This is Wits Vuvuzela Confessions line. Please record your confession after the beep.
Hi. So, this is not something that I'd ordinarily talk about, but my mom used to offer me money in exchange for losing weight.
Hello, and welcome back to Season 3 of We Should Be Writing. Today I am joined by a special guest, Colin Hugo. And in this season, we unpack your scandalous and not so scandalous university confessions in association with UniversityConfessions.za on Instagram. In today's episode, we are taking a deep and non-judgmental dive into Confession 2216, where we focus on and discuss weight, body image, and parenting skills. That's exactly what we are going to discuss today. I guess we have a lot to unpack. Let's get straight into it. Let's first discuss the key issues. Obviously, the first being weight. One shouldn't be paid to lose weight. That is something that one should decide by themselves. Body image and shaming. One can talk about how this can impact one's confidence and self-esteem. In addition, one can discuss the potential effects such as depression, eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and suicide, including parenting styles, which is relevant to this situation. As mentioned previously, parenting styles is critical to this conversation. According to the Very Well Family website, your parenting style can affect everything from your child's self-esteem and physical health to how they relate to others. As I stated previously, discussing parenting styles is very critical to this conversation. According to the Very Well Family website, your parenting style can affect everything from your child's self-esteem and physical health to how they relate to others. It's important to ensure your parenting style is supportive, healthy, and encourages growth and development, because the way you interact with your child and how you discipline them will influence them for the rest of your life. Now, there are various parenting styles. I will start by discussing the authoritarian style. The authoritarian style may use punishment instead of discipline. So rather than teach a child how to make better choices, they are much more invested in making kids feel sorry for their mistakes. An example or statements made by a parent of this nature make kids believe that they should be seen and not heard. The second being authoritative parents. These type of parents invest time and energy into ensuring their children are well behaved by using a much more positive discipline approach, like praise and reward to encourage positive behavior.
There are then permissive parents. These parents treat their children like their friend and encourage them to talk about their problems with them. The downside, however, is they don't discourage their children's poor choices and bad behavior. The fourth style is the uninvolved style of parenting, which is less interactive and hands-on. They expect children to raise themselves and don't devote time nor energy to meet their children's basic needs. A parent with mental health issues or substance abuse problems may not be able to care for a child's physical or emotional needs on a constant basis. Children raised by this style usually have low self-esteem.
Taking into consideration these different parenting styles, I think it's only fair that we ask our guest, Colin Hugo, on what his preferred parenting style is. Colin, please inform us, what is your preferred parenting style?
My preferred parenting style is sort of a mix of the four that you've just heard. In different situations, you would want your children to feel comfortable talking to you and letting them know their secrets so you can help and guide them. But then you also need to have that boundary with your parents that you know what is right and what is wrong, and you need that through discipline, as well as allowing your child to still feel comfortable to talk to you about the issues. that's come through how I've been raised. My parents were always very chilled about letting us come to talk to them about any issue. And yes, it was scary at times to open up, but in the long run, it was made our relationship a lot more strong. But there was always that discipline there. Like, you knew not to swear, you knew not to fight with your siblings, you knew not to fight with other people or be rude to other people, because you knew that if you did that, you'd be in trouble. So I think there's a mix of all of these styles is probably the best style, because sometimes your children, even for uninvolved, your children need to learn how to learn things on their own. If you don't let them experience things on their own, they're going to not enjoy their lives so as children. So yeah, that's my preferred style. What's yours, Busi?
I certainly agree with you, Colin, with the different parenting styles that, our parents have implemented in our lives. My parents had also used the very same parenting styles. When I was young, my mother wouldn't be afraid to hit me if I was naughty or if I said something very disrespectful to someone else. That is exactly how I was raised. But as I grew older, my mother started becoming much more gentle, much more easy, in a sense that whenever I did something wrong, we would be able to have a conversation about it. And I wouldn't be hit. And I wouldn't be as, terribly reprimanded as I was when I was a child. And I think that's what I truly appreciated. That, in as much as my mom, did hit me every now and then, but I think it has also molded me to become the person that I am today, a person of discipline. And now I know not to disrespect people and to speak to people with absolute gentleness, respect, and kindness. And so I'm truly grateful in that respect. But I'm also grateful that as I grew older, she started to become much more soft. And I think that has also helped me to grow as an individual. That whenever I speak to people as well, I can also use a much more soft approach. So I certainly agree with you on that point, Colin.
Well, we certainly also become reflections of what our parents have taught us over the last however many years you've been living. Your parents teach you all your values, your morals, your ethics. If you follow religion, your parents have taken you to church. So your parents have a huge impact on your life. So the way they bring you up is extremely important to the person that you will one day become.
That is absolutely true. I certainly agree with that. But after all, we live in a world with people who are of different backgrounds. No one has the very same parenting styles. And I think it would be unfair to say that each person should have a much more universal approach to parenting. But I think that in such a comment like this one, I personally believe that the parent of the confessor had the completely wrong end of the stick by saying that. She instead shouldn't have even offered money in the first place. That when it comes to losing weight, that should be your decision to make, not your parents enforcing it on you. I encourage people to love their bodies, irrespective of who they are. Love your body, appreciate your body for all the things that it does for you. On the topic of weight, we must also ask ourselves that what is your relationship with weight? Are you working through it? If you are still working through it, how are you going about doing so? Do you even want to lose weight? And if not, do not pressure yourself to do so. As I said, this is a much more personal decision. Other issues, such as body image and shaming, come into the conversation when one thinks of this confession. Body shaming has become such a norm, especially with social media. I am guessing that it is even worse when it comes from home, because home is supposed to be a safe space. Social media has added additional pressure because of what they consider an ideal body type, and that is projected onto a lot of women and men. For example, women are expected to have a flat stomach, big breasts, and big bums. Men are expected to have a six-pack, broad shoulders, thick legs, and a full hairline.
On your initial point of how it must have made the child feel, by her having to send in a confession to a social media page, that tells you all you need to know about how the child felt about that situation. Because sometimes it can come from a place of care and trust between the parent and the child if the child has been raised in that certain manner on a reward basis for doing certain things. However, in this case, losing weight is such a personal issue that it's such a touchy subject to tell someone that you'll give them money to lose weight. Like, it literally has nothing to do with you, no matter who you are, and it just comes off wrong.
Definitely. I agree with you on that part. I think that we can all agree that that was a very rude statement. It was very rude, and it felt like it was a much more ignorant statement as to how someone can feel when you say such a thing. And I understand that we're all not the same. Just because you would say something nice does not mean that someone else will say something nice. And the same applies with if you do something nice for other people, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will do the same to you. But home is supposed to be safe. Home is supposed to be where I feel most relaxed and shut out from the rest of the world, where I'm much more comfortable. I already experienced criticism outside of the home space. I really do not have to experience it in the home space as well. So personally, I think that that was a very, very, very rude statement to make on behalf of the parent. And I just want to encourage parents out there that when you speak to your children, speak to them with sensitivity. Speak to them with respect. Speak to them that shows a sense of kindness towards them. Parents, please do better.
The other thing is love. It's simply not loving to talk to your children like that or offer something like that, especially because of all the peer pressure that you mentioned from the outside. I mean, people receive peer pressure for things like that every single day of their lives. So to receive it at home as well, which is meant to be a safe space, as you said, is just not fair on the person. So that's where the parent went wrong, in my opinion.
Definitely. And even when one considers the possible effects of that, depression, suicide, those are such devastating effects that someone can possibly go through. Depression is a very dark and lonely place. And each person needs a very supportive system when they go through that. And having your parents bring you down, I can only imagine how much worse how much worse depression can get for that person.
Okay, but sticking on that line of thought, Busi, what advice would you give to this person?
The first thing that I would say is to communicate with your parents. Let them know how you feel. Try to make your parent understand how the comments they may have made may have impacted you as an individual. Remember that your feelings and experiences are valid. Therefore, they deserve to be voiced. Try to set healthy boundaries with your parents. These should be clearly communicated. Decide what you will and will not tolerate. Reach out to your support systems. If you're feeling depressed, speak to the people who are able to comfort you. Should things become increasingly bad, seek professional help. Also, remember that you cannot change people.
I agree with you, Busi. I think the most important thing is to communicate with your mom and your dad, because your dad's another important role model in your life. So between the two of them, they need to help and guide you through this situation. And maybe she didn't quite mean what came out in the way you took it. So maybe communicating with her is the first step to understanding where that comment came from and what she meant by it. My advice would also be, firstly, to take pride in yourself. I know it's hard when a lot of people could be putting you down, and especially when it's someone so close to you like your mother. But you need to love yourself for who you are. And if you don't want to lose weight, then that needs to be your decision and not let anyone change your mind on that. Talking about it helps too. Talking to friends and people who you trust. Importance is on the trust there, because there's a lot of people that you could speak to that you do not necessarily trust fully, and then they can make the situation even worse. And it's also good to find people that maybe aren't your closest friends, but may have been in a similar situation, because they can actually understand the situation that you're in. And finally, it's important to move past it and live the life that you want to live. That's the most important thing for me.
I certainly agree with you, Colin. Our parents play a very critical role in our lives. And we need to have conversations with them, be able to speak to them. And I just hope that even parents themselves can provide that platform for children. I mean, it would be great for a child to have an open and healthy relationship with their parents. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to close off our discussion by saying that may the confessor take whatever advice works for them from this particular platform. And I would like to emphasize the importance of confidence, self-esteem, and communication, along with treating others with dignity and respect. Thank you so much for giving us an ear for today's episode. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Wits Vuvuzela. Stay tuned for our next set of confessions.